Assalamu alaikum and good morning. On the behalf of organizer of Indus Water System webinar series, I, Benazir Iqbal from National Center of Excellence in Geology, University of Peshawar, Pakistan, welcome you all. The webinar are jointly organized by National Center of Excellence in Geology, University of Peshawar, Pakistan, Geological Survey of Pakistan, Denver Museum of Nature and Science, USA, and National Center of GIS in Space Application, Islamabad, Pakistan. Web series of virtual seminar covers a range of topics related to the water resources of Indus River system, climate change, and cryospheres. This webinar targeted researchers, organizations, practitioners, and postgraduates involved in water-related activities. So this webinar is comprised of 1 hour with 40 minutes of talk and 20 minutes of question and answer session. So today is the second Dr. Altaf about the proposed Sindh Barrage. Professor Dr. Altaf Ali Siyal is Dr. Siyal, his expertise in remote sensing applications, GIS, climate change, environment, water resources engineering and management, irrigation and drainage, soil salinity, land reclamation, wetlands, and coastal flood management. He received many trainings on GIS and remote sensing applications for the water sector from UNESCO IHG Delft, Netherlands. He also got different trainings in GIS and remote sensing applications and monitoring and management of natural resources from University of Maryland, USA, under NASA and from Sparko, Pakistan. We are honored to have you, sir. So over to you, Dr. Altaf Ali. Thank you.
Thank you very much for inviting me to present the research and give my point of view about the water resources, especially in the lower Indus Basin. My talk today will be on the proposed Sindh Barrage, whether it's a blessing or it is curse for the Sindh, the people of Sindh, especially the lower Sindh. So hopefully we will complete the talk within prescribed time, and then if you have any question, you may ask at the end of the presentation. First of all, I will go and just give a brief about the Sindh, the physical features of Sindh, because it will enable us to understand whether this proposed barrage will be helpful, will be a blessing or not. So my next slide is about the Sindh, the physical features of Sindh, how the Sindh is divided into different, the physical, depending upon the physical features, how it is divided. So Sindh is actually divided into four parts depending upon the physical appearance. One is the Koistan area, which is a mountainous area on the west. Then in the middle, we have the irrigated area. And in the east, we have the Thar Desert. You know, the Thar Desert is equally shared with India. It's a big desert. It's in the east. And in the south is a coastal region. And that area is inundated by the coastal floods and the high tides. And it's in the south. If we see the area, about 44% is irrigated area, and then followed by the Thar and Koistan, and then we have the tidal floodplain area. So total area of Sindh is about 140, 1 lake and 40,914 square kilometers, and the length of river in Sindh is about 900 and the 925 kilometers. So the total length of Sindh, out of total length of the river Sindh or river Indus, 27.8% is in Sindh. So it's more than the Punjab. In Punjab, the length of Indus River is less than whatever is in Sindh. If we normally in Sindh, we also divide depending upon the location of that area in three parts. We say upper Sindh, middle Sindh, central Sindh, and then lower Sindh. In Sindhi, we call the Siro, the top districts of the which are in the north, the Siro, then Vichoro, the central Sindh, and the lower Sindh, which we call Lar. And because this barrage is proposed for the Lar area of the lower Sindh, that's it will help you that when we say the Lar area, I will call, then you can have a better idea that which area I am talking about. Also in here you can in the next map you can see the irrigation network which provides the irrigation water to the crops in the irrigated area, which are the red lines there. These are the canals, distributaries, miners, and through these distributaries, miners, and canal system, the vast area of Sindh, about 44% of the area of Sindh, are about 14 million acres of land are being irrigated through this canal system. We have three barrages at the top near the border of Punjab and Sindh. We have got Gudu barrage. Then there's the Sakhar barrage at the Sakhar city. And the last one at the tail end at a moment is the Kotri barrage. Sakhar barrage is the biggest one barrage, which has 7 canals which feed the agricultural lands of the Sindh. Now I'm going to Lar area, the lower part of the Sindh, and in that one part there's a particular area which we call the Indus Delta, which is very famous. Might you have read in newspapers, in the media, that Indus Delta is under threat due to climate change, due to diminishing river flows. So it and the coastal erosion, seawater intrusion. So Indus Delta is at large. It's being threatened through different natural and anthropogenic activities. So Indus Delta is at the moment the fifth largest delta of the world. It is a Ramsar wetland. It's declared Ramsar wetland, which we are supposed to protect it. And in the Indus Delta, there is the seventh largest mangrove forest system. And that mangrove forest system, these forests are number one. If we consider only the arid regions of the world, the most mangroves are in the Indus Delta. Otherwise, if the humid regions and arid regions, if we combine, the mangrove forests are at the seventh. They rank at the seventh position. However, this delta is I already told that this area is highly vulnerable due to climate change and other factors. It, during 1830 up to 1830 AD, there were 17 river creeks, and now they are decreased to only 2 creeks, Kobar and Khar. The active delta at that time was about 13,067 square kilometers, which has now decreased to only 1,070 square kilometers. So about 92% reduction in the active delta of the river Indus. And the factors may be different. The natural, as I already told, that there are natural factors as well as the due to the anthropogenic activities. This is the location of the Indus Delta, the tail end of the river Indus system, and these are the creeks of the Indus Delta from the Sar Creek up to the Fiti Creek here. So these are different creeks of the Indus Delta. And in the next map here, you can see is that the active delta, the original delta in 1833 and the active delta, which is only 1,070 square kilometers. So that's a 98% reduction in the active delta since 1833. Tidal floodplain area in the Indus Delta, there I would like to divide the Indus Delta into three sections. Now, whatever Indus Delta we have, the I will divide it in three parts. One is the irrigated one, which is irrigated through the canal system. The other part is the barren lands, and the third one is the tidal floodplain area, which is about 46% of the total Indus Delta. So tidal floodplain area, or sometimes we can tidal mud flats. So different people call it different, but in that area we have the mangrove plantation. All the mangroves grow only in that area, and that area receives the sea water when there's a high tide. The twice in 24 hours, the water comes here, and these areas are submerged with that sea water. And when the tide goes, the land appears there, and at that place, the mangroves flourish because the different drains they are discharging their water in that area, and they dilute the sea water and to lower salt concentration, and that's favorable for the mangrove plantation. Now, if we look at the river flow, Indus River flow from 1937 up to now, how the river Indus flow below Kotri Barrage. Previously, before Kotri, it was below Sakhar Barrage, but so this is actually the flow which is going to the Indus Delta. And if you can see the trend, it's decreasing. Sometimes the Indus Delta received before the construction of the barrage system, the Indus Delta received more than 130 million acre feet, and now it has decreased even less than 1 million acre feet. Last year, which was 2021, we received only 2.5 million acre feet water. The delta received only that water. If we see this bar chart from 2000 to 2021, the flow which has gone below the Kotri Barrage to the delta, out of these 21 years, 10 years were those when the delta received less than the water which is recommended by international panel of experts. You know that in the interprovincial accord, water accord, the Sindh has demanded that at least 10 million acre feet should go annually to the Indus Delta. That was demand of Sindh, but eventually it was recognized, and it was decided that international panel of experts would decide what is the actual need of Indus Delta, what the environmental flow will be needed for the survival of Indus Delta, for the survival of the river Indus. And after 10 years, 10 to 20, 10 to 15 years, international panel of experts had given a report in which they had recommended that the 5,000 cubics of water should go daily to the Indus Delta, and 25 million acre feet of water should go within five years. So if we take an average, annually 8.6 million acre feet is the environmental requirement of Indus Delta, the rivers and the creeks. So that's the report given by the International Panel of Experts. But when we look at the chart, so out of these 21 years, 10 years, there was insufficient water that was to meet the environmental requirements, and that water was below the 8.6. Even in 1 year, it was only zero point 0.1 million acre feet, which has gone down. Now, the result of that one, of this the decreasing river flow to the Indus Delta, the result has come in the form of increase in seawater intrusion, coastal erosion, loss of mangroves and marine life, large-scale migration of the people, the local community, the indigenous people have migrated from the coastal belt to the large cities for their livelihood. Groundwater degradation, the groundwater which was the fresh groundwater, now is converted into the saline because of seawater intrusion. And one study which we had conducted, it showed that the groundwater or subsurface water intrusion has reached to the Tata and Sujawal and other towns. So it has intruded a lot in the inland in the delta. And also, of course, it has increased the soil salinity in the area. Another the big issue is that the farmers do not receive the water to irrigate their agricultural land. So because it's at the tail end and also there's a no water in the river end. So that the riverine forestry, riverine agriculture is largely affected. If we look at the this map, we can see the area which is marked with blue is that area which is completely taken away by the sea. That's now the part of the sea. It's not the land. While the shaded area is actually tidal floodplain area, which is equally controlled by that sometimes there's the water, sometimes it's the uh, mud flat plain, and there's the mangrove plantation. But the blue area is completely taken by the sea, and that's not now the land. And it was, we had estimated it was more than 1 lakh acres of land which are completely now the sea. And the shoreline is moving inland every year with the passage of time. Now, that's actually problem with the Indus Delta. Now, looking at that problem, the WAPDA has given the solution in the form of Sindh Barrage. They had proposed that Sindh Barrage will be the solution of all these problems of the Indus Delta. So in August 2019, the Indus Delta, the WAPDA has surprisingly announced that they are going to construct the Sindh Barrage for revival of Indus Delta, and they did not even consult with the stakeholders. Even the Sindh government, and they officially announced that the Sindh Barrage is going to be constructed in the Indus Delta near the mouth of the river. So they have given the WAPDA said that their proposed barrage will provide drinking water to the people of Indus Delta and also the Karachi city. It will provide the irrigation water, and thus it will decrease the shortage of water which usually the people at the tail end of the river Indus they face. It will also decrease the seawater intrusion and the coastal airway. It will recharge the groundwater, improve its quality. So groundwater will improve, its quality will improve, the quantum will improve, and quality will also improve. The ecology of the Indus Delta will also flourish, and the mangrove plantation and marine life will also be healthy, and it will be flourish in the coastal belt. So these were the benefits which the WAPDA has given in its report about the Sindh Barrage, why it's necessary for the Indus Delta. The location of the proposed barrage, it's not dam, sorry, it's a barrage. So proposed is somehow barrage and also dam, so it's a multifunction. It will serve as a barrage as well as dam. So it will be constructed in the district Chatta. The village which will be near to that barrage will be the Adam Lakho barrage, Adam Lakho village, and the Union Council is the Dandari Union Council. It is this proposed site is 45 kilometers upstream of the river Indus, and from Karachi, it's in the southeast, and it's about 30 kilometers away from Karachi in the southeast, and 65 kilometers from Tata, and that will be in the south of Tata city. And from Kotri Barrage, that barrage will be about 180 kilometers below Kotri Barrage. So this is the location of the their proposed industrial barrage. It's the location of the site which is proposed by the WAPDA. That's the feasible area where industrial barrage can be constructed, and it will give the benefits to the area. These are the salient features of that barrage. What will be that barrage as per WAPDA report? It has it will have the capacity of 2 million acre feet water storage. So as I already told you, that's not only the barrage, but it's also a dam. Somehow a dam is like Chashma Barrage. So it will also store a water up to 2 million acre feet of water, and out of which 0.2 million acre feet of water is the dead storage. The barrage will have the 52 gates, and each gate will be of 50 feet. The reservoir level, when we have 2 million acre feet, the reservoir level will be about 11 meters above sea level. Now, what they are going to do, they will narrow down the river Indus. Actually, the river Indus, the course of river Indus is natural. The irrigation department has constructed the protective levees so that during the fillers, water should not come out of these levees and damage the cities and towns and agricultural land. So they have protected levees, and the width of those levees vary from 5 kilometers to 10 to 20 kilometers at some places. Now, WAPDA is going to narrow down it maybe 1 or 2 kilometers river only, and they will construct a new bunch, and they will create a lake where the water will be stored. So the length of that lake would be 165 kilometers, and it will be up to the Kotri Barrage. So this whole area up to 165 kilometers will be ponded, so that the 2 million acre feet would be achieved. The storage of 2 million acre feet would be there. The total area of the lake would be 485 square kilometers. Because of that lake, 46,000 acre forest land will come under the lake. This is from the WAPDA's own report. 9,000 acre river and agricultural land will be submerged, and 1,000 houses will be wiped out. So that will be removed from that area, 1,000 houses, but the actual figure is quite a large. And the approximate cost of that whole project is estimated at a moment is 750 million. These are some engineering features that the capacity of the design discharge capacity is about 875,000 cusics. So the water, the maximum capacity is a good one. I mean, they have given a lot to 8,075 cusics. And number of pages already told 45 there. Number of piers 40, and the crest level is about 45 feet above mean sea level. Downstream side is 35 feet mean sea level. So these are some engineering features of the proposed barrage. Now the canals which will be excavated on both sides of the barrage. One canal will be on the right bank of the river Indus, the other one on the left bank of the river Indus. So right bank is the area where Tata and Karachi and that area is the right bank of the the river Indus, and that canal will be, the length of that canal will be 42 kilometers. Its discharge capacity will be 4,000 cusics. So the canal which will be excavated, it will carry about 4,000 cusics, and the water which will be utilized from 4,000 cusics, 2,500 cusics will be for domestic use, for drinking purpose, washing and other purposes. 600 will be used for agricultural purpose, and 900 for the will be released for the coastal life. From this canal, about 900 cusic will be diverted to the mangroves and coastal life. Since the after 10 million, because as already Babda has proposed that the water level will be up to 11 meters, the ponding level will be 11 meters. So this barrage will take only 1 meter. That's up. If the water level will drop below the 10 meter, then the water will be pumped. So they will install a pumping unit of 10 megawatts there to pump the water from the barrage into the canal. On river left bank canal, it will be the 50 kilometers of length, and its discharge capacity will be 3,500 cusics. So this is the original plan of the WAPDA. They have given this map. You can see here that the proposed location of the barrage and the construction of bunds around the river Indus so that the lake can be created there. And there's two canals on left and right side of the river Indus. These are the canals here, and from canals they have given the distributaries and miners which will deliver the water for agricultural purpose, and it and the remaining water will go to the coast, to the mangrove area and to the coastal belt. So these were some silent features which were as per the WAPDA's report, which they have given in their report about the Sindh Barrage. These are my calculations regarding the annual water requirements of these canals. If these canals are perennial canals, then how much water will be needed if their capacity is 4,000 cusics and 3,500 cusics? So in total, it's 7,500 cusics. And if they run for 1 year, how much water they will carry? So it's about 5.4 million acre feet. Now the capacity of the barrage is only 2 million acre feet. So and there's also a dead storage, and that will not be utilized, but only the water, limited water will be utilized. So for these canals, we need 5.4 million acre feet. So from where the rest of water will come, how these canals will run for the entire year, that's a big question, that how these canals will be operated. Sorry. Okay. So these are the two maps there. The first map is showing that the water goes up to the, when water will ponded 2 million acre feet, how far it can go. So as per WAPDA, it will go up to the Hyderabad town, Hyderabad city. The water 2 million acre feet will go up to the, if they narrow down it, it will go up to the Hyderabad. And if the existing boundaries are there, then after ponding, the water will go up to the Kinjar Lake. So the first one map is prepared by me. The other one is by the WAPDA. That according to them, if they narrow down the river Indus, the water will go near to the Hyderabad town. And the area occupied for 2 million acre feet will be about 800 square kilometers will be covered with water. It will be submerged due to ponding 2 million acre feet within the river bed. And the water level will be 13 meters, not as the 12 meters WAPDA has proposed. These are my own calculations based on the SRTM 30 meter digital elevation model. It's not only 12 meter, but it will be 30 meters. And when this is the condition when I am taking the boundaries, the whatever which are now existing, the riverbed is very wide one, but if they will narrow down, the water level even will go above the 30 meters. So this is the plan which the WAPDA has given. So this whole area, which is here below one, will be submerged. The whole river bed will be submerged with water, and the agriculture, river and agriculture, there will be no river and agriculture, there will be no forest there, and this will be only water there, and then we will have 2 million acre feet, and the canals will take those that water and distribute on the left bank and right bank of the river Indus. Now the issues, if this barrage is constructed and it will work, then what issues will arise? First one issue is that if we don't have water, if we see that out of 21 years, 10 years we didn't have the water, enough water to meet the requirements of Indus Delta, then from where the water will come, extra water to store in that barrage so that it will be utilized later on. So that's a big question. Normally, the people raise that one. There's not enough water to store. Then from where water will come and it will be stored and will be utilized for the drinking, irrigation, other purpose. We know that the sediment is the lifeline of the deltaic life, ecosystem, and the coastal accretion. More than 80% of the river sediment is already decreased after the control irrigation system of the construction, after construction of the dams, barrages on the river system of the Pakistan. 80% of the silt which used to be uh, delivered at the tail end used to be delivered to the delta through the river Indus has decreased. So that of when this barrage will be constructed, that silt will not reach to the coastal area. The marine life will suffer, the mangrove will suffer, the shoreline accretion will not be done, rather than there will be a coastal area that will increase the coastal area. Since there will be no silt deposition. Another issue will be with as the silt will not go to the sea, it will be deposited within the river bed, and due to that deposition, the water level will rise, the capacity of the proposed lake will decrease, water level will increase, seepage will increase from the bed and banks. If even the banks are constructed with the RCC, even then it will there will be a lot of seepage, and it will affect the agriculture of the area, because there will be a problem of waterlogging, there will be a problem of soil salinity. That area is nearly flat, and 70% of the delta area is within the 5 meters level, above 5 meters high above the sea level, and ponding that huge quantity of water in the riverbed will affect the agriculture, more salinity, more waterlogging in that area. Kacha area. Kacha means the area which is within the river bed. Its morphology, ecology, environment will be altered. Like the trout fish in the north, we have the pala fish in the south, which usually migrates from the sea in the river Indus. That will be stopped, and there will be no pala fish. It will be only just in the books. That species will vanish, and then there's a lot of forests in the Kacha area, in the river and forest are plenty of river and forest. The area is covered with the river and forest in the Tata district as well as within the Sajawal district. So there will be no river and forest. Now, another issue is that in preparation of that report, the initial survey, not local people are involved in that one. You know that in Pakistan, with the support from USAID, there's a water center at Mehran University of Engineering and Technology. There are a lot of experts in water. Even though those are not asked to take any study, are not involved to take any feasibility study or give any report or any uh, consultation with them, they have hired the people which are not local, because if you are not local, then you don't know the ground reality, because there are a lot of if you don't know the morphology, geology, and different things of the local area, then it's very difficult to give some reports. So that's one thing. Another is the agriculture, forest, wildlife, environmental, coastal development departments. These are all related departments, and the other stakeholders, the coastal communities, they are not consulted. They just announced. That was a quite surprise for the people of Sindh that the Wapta is going to construct a barrage. That barrage has never been demanded by the coastal, by the local communities, by these departments, by the Sindh government, but they announced suddenly. And you know that the Sindh has always demanded for the construction of 7 barrage since the 1960s. They have never been made till today, but this surprisingly they announced this one. Another issue is that without conducting ground truthing survey and preliminary analysis of data, two canals are suggested. Will those be viable? Canal intake levels are kept higher. You see that normally if you see all the barrages in Pakistan, the canals are off-taking just above the structure of these barrages. They start from that area, but these canals are proposed up to 40 kilometers ahead of the, the barrage. Then you need a lot of ponding level, and so to supply the water to these barrages. So another problem would be the severe waterlogging, and that will also affect not only agricultural land but also the cities. The Tata and Sijawal cities will be at risk all the time because the water level will be at the high position. And when we narrow down the river Indus during high floods like 2010, how water will travel from the Kotri barrage to the sea, because narrowing down the river Indus will decrease the capacity of the river Indus to carry the flood water. So if these are some the existing position of the elevation, you see more than 50% of the area is within the
Dr. Altaf, your mic is muted. Please unmute your mic.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay.
What options we have? First option is that instead of Sindh Barrage, the construction of Seven Barrage would be more feasible, more viable, and it will be welcomed by the people because it's a long demand of people since 1960s that Seven Barrage should be constructed because it will not only revive the Manchar Lake, which is the environmental degradation created by the RBOD. So it will revive the Manchar Lake, and Manchar Lake can be used as a reservoir, and it has capacity of storing 1 million acre feet of water. The Manchar Lake can reserve up to 1 million acre feet of water, and that water can be used for Indus Delta during the shortage of water, especially during the winter. So Seven Barrage not only give water to the Manchar Lake, but it will also be helpful for the revival of Indus Delta. And the Sakhar Barrage command area at the tail end, they face the water shortage. Tail end farmers always cry for the water shortage. So construction of Seven Barrage will also resolve that issue as well. The other option, that's not other option, but these are different options. That first one is the construction of Seven Barrage, but to protect the Indus Delta, the protective levee at the periphery of tidal floodplain area should be constructed. And during 2018, the previous government they initiated that process, and planning commission has visited and that one, but I don't know why that had stopped that proposal. That's also a need of time that the protective levee along the tidal floodplain area should be constructed. Irrigation water should be assured that it should be reached at the tail end of the canals in the delta. Mangrove plantation, that's a first defense line against the natural threats from the seaside. So mangrove plantation should be encouraged. And also the inland forestry, there is a lot of land which is barren. It needs to be brought under the inland forestry. There are many old channels which are abandoned. We call it in Sindhi, we call it dhoras. The old channels which used to flow previously, now they are abandoned and they are just small lakes. In some places, some people have encouraged that those canals should be revived so that water should go during the high flood times. The water could be diverted in these channels, and those channels will give water to the Indus Delta. The first and last thing, very important one, is that before construct, if the Wabda thinks that it's better for the people of Sindh, then there should be a consultation with the all stakeholders. There should be a big dialogue about the pros and cons of the Sindh barrage. Without any consultation, this barrage, if it's constructed, it will result in the farm, its fate will be same as the RBOD, as the LBOD, which the people of Sindh are still facing. And this is the old channels which needs to be revived. They are present there, just they're the only will. If these are revived, they will help a lot to revive the Indus Delta. And this is the periphery where the proposed levee needs to be constructed so that the surface seawater intrusion should be controlled. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir, for such a nice talk. Now the floor is open for question answer. We will take a few quick questions from the audience. So I guess Dr. Syed Mubashir has raised his hand. So Dr. Syed Mubashir, please introduce yourself first and then ask a question. We allowed your mic, so please unmute your mic and you can ask a question then. Dr. Sayed Mubashir. Okay, we should move for another question. I think Dr. Sayed Mubashir Aftab. Are you here? Okay, we will move to Khurram Khan. He's raised his hand. Please, Khurram Khan, introduce yourself first and then ask a question.
Ji, Assalamu alaikum, Dr. Saab. This is Khurram Khan. I belong to Army Corps of Engineers and part of NUST faculty in National University of Science and Technology and doing some science in water resources. Graduate of University of Wisconsin Madison. Sir, basically, it was very enlightening talk, but you would bear with me if I put few observations, and certainly you will take them in consideration, because we all people are here for some mutual benefit for everyone, and the ultimate goal is for the ultimate benefit of the country. So, sir, I would sincerely suggest the talk which you have delivered, we should also have a third party validation input in that. There are many things which really needs to be addressed or at least questioned, which you raised. Then second is a little bit I do the hydrology and water resources, some modeling. So I would again say you use the 30-meter dam, and you came up with a result that the level will be much higher. So I would suggest if we use a dam of little more refined, concentration, which will be 5 meter or 2 meters for that particular area. So our result may differ. So you can discuss with your science group. So, third observation is about the reduction in the span of the river by the proposed project by the WABDA. If we reduce the span, is a simple continuity equation that we will increase the velocity. And if velocity increases for the high wave time, then we expect that by the increased velocity, the regime of the river, which perhaps if we say it is in the deposition regime, it will not remain in deposition regime. It will certainly change to eroding regime. So we may need to rethink about that as well. That was your observation raised in issues of slide number 21. And my last observation is, whatever the WAPDA has selected the canals intakes, certainly you have very rightly pointed out that compared with other barrages, it is going downstream. But we must bring some WAPDA people in the discussion. Maybe I'm suggesting another sitting in which we all sit and then we should discuss this. Thank you very much. I'm sorry it's a little longer question, and I really appreciate your input, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Regarding your different, you have suggested different things about this. Yeah, that's why I said that there the big debate should be there. There should be a consultation. Without consultation, that barrage should not be considered. That's my point of view. If it's feasible, then go on. But at a moment, the people think that it will ruin the agriculture, will ruin the delta. You said that if you narrow down the river Indus, certainly the speed will increase. It's a common, and we know the basic mechanism. But how long? If certain thing has a capacity of suppose 2 cubic, we cannot allow it 4 cubic to pass through it. Even how much speed will velocity will be there. We had the example of 2010 floods when the, the river Indus was of more than 20 kilometers width. It could not carry the water to pass through it. But if we bring it to 2 kilometers, then that's a big question, that how the water will pass during, because you know that because of climate change, sometimes we have drought, sometimes we have very, very heavy floods and unpredicted floods. So how that mechanism will work, and also all the silt deposition will be there, and once there are floods, or when we take up the gates of the river Indus, then the river the silt will go, but more silt will be deposited within the river bed. That will be issue. Yes, I agree that there should be a big consultation, big discussion. Then because that's a mega project, and without that one, and you have also seen that might you have studied the report as well. The people, local people are not the local experts are not taken on boards, especially they have taken the which are not the related one. Means they have mentioned a few in. I've gone all through all the reports. The local knowledge is very helpful, is very supportive. Though experts from all over the country, from the world, they should be consulted. But local people also should be taken board because they have a better understanding of the area. That's my well, and consultation should be done. And that's the main key thing. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir. The next question we have from Pakistan Academy of Sciences. We don't know his name, so please kindly unmute your mic and introduce yourself first, and then ask your question, please.
Thank you very much. This is Dr. Rifat Qureshi from Pakistan Academy of Sciences. First of all, I would like to appreciate the hydrological data presentation by the speaker. I think it's very impressive data. And I suggest that the author, the speaker, should submit this data to the Ministry of Water Resources for presentation in the Senate Standing Committee on Water Resources. Because last time Dr. Qasim Jan had attended this meeting of the Senate Standing Committee, and there was some concern on shortage of hydrological data from Sindh, Balochistan, Azad Kashmir, and Gilgit-Baltistan. So I think this data will really contribute to this effort of hydrological data in the Sindh province. Secondly, I have a small question that the lake you mentioned has a area 485 square kilometer, and the sedimentation rate is about 1 feet per 10 year. So what is the life expectancy of this lake or dam?
Thank you very much for your suggestions. The answer of the question is that one, at a moment under this natural phenomena, what was going, that's the rate of silt deposition. Now, WAPDA is going to create a lake, and when they narrow down it, then certainly they will do certain studies that one, if this is the rate currently, then what will be the rate after converting the bed of river into lake? What will be the consequence of it? I don't know how much will be the life expectancy of this barrage. Certainly, if they are going to construct, they will consider. But this is the existing the rate of silt deposition within the river bed of the river Indus. So I gave that one, and that was my also concern that if this will occur, certainly the water level will rise. There will be a seepage, and this whole area is a flat area. The slope is very low or negligible, and due to that seepage, water lagging issue will be arise, and most of the agricultural land, most of the fertile land is along the both sides of the river Indus in Thatta and Sajawal district. And when these areas will be waterlogged, saline issue certain will rise, and we will forget the forestry, the forests which are now exist already within the river bed within the in that area, and there are many villages. These are the figures which are WAPDA has given. They have given I think 4 or 5 villages, but there are plenty of villages which are settled within the river bed. That study also needs to be considered, that how many people are going to be affected, and how much is the actual area which is under forest, how much is the agricultural area, and what will be the environmental. So all these things, my suggestion is needs to be considered before going ahead. Thank you.
But the issue of waterlogging and salinity, these are many issues, other issues that you mentioned are very natural. after construction of such dams or canals. As far as waterlogging and salinity is concerned, um, waterlogging from the canals can be overcome by lining the canals. Uh, I suggest that stable isotope techniques can be initiated in the area before initiation of this project to evaluate the extent of and the contribution towards waterlogging from the area.
Yeah, actually, the canals might not create so much problem, sir, sir, seepage from those, because those canals will be near to the coastal belt. Actually, the whole 165 to 175 kilometers, whole area will be ponded. As per WAPDA report, the river bed will be ponded, and which is about 175 kilometers. There will be a ponding, and the water level will be 12 meters, whereas the surface is 5 meters, so that huge water will be ponded there. So there will be certain the seepage from the beds and banks. So that might create a
Okay.
problem.
Okay, thank you, sir. Sir, we have we will take another 2 or 3 quick questions because we are running out of time. Professor Dr. Qasim Jan Saab, I think he is some questioning.
I
Sir,
think
please.
I can quickly bypass it because the
Yeah.
observations we had have already been discussed in the previous questions. But only one thing I like to add here is that whatever activity we do in the areas which I would define as coastal or pretty close to the coastal areas, we must keep in mind that the sea level is on the rise. And if global climate and global warming continues, and if we are bracing for instead of 1.5, 2-degree rise in temperature ultimately at the end of this century, that means sea level would definitely be rising at faster speed than before, and that should be taken into consideration whatever we do large scale activity in coastal areas. Finally, I can you hear me?
Yes, sir,
Hello.
we can hear you.
Okay. Finally, I do endorse what already has been said that the issue should be taken up with WAPDA and experts from Sindh should be invited to give their advice in whatever activity we are going to do with common assets of the country. That is one of them is water. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Very good
Okay, another
suggestion.
is
One very good suggestion. Sea level rise issue, I couldn't highlight it. It's a big issue. And that barrage is going to be constructed at the periphery, means where the sea high tides reach. That's the place where the tide ends. So what will happen after 10 years? Will that barrage exist there? Will that high tides will impact the barrage? So these all things needs to be considered. Very good suggestion. Thank you.
okay. We will take another quick questions from Bob Reynolds from Daniel Division of Research, Science and Nature and Science. So, Professor Dr. Prof.
Yes, thank you very much. Altaf, thank you very much for the very interesting presentation. I think that I just want to quickly point out that you're really talking about delta engineering. I mean, engineering the delta of the Indus River system. And it would be very interesting to study some other major deltas, for example, the Mississippi River Delta or the Tigris-Euphrates Delta system, or even the Nile Delta, just to see if there are other engineering studies or other engineering accomplishments in some of these other environments that have managed to successfully reallocate waters in the delta environment. Thank you.
Thank you. Very good suggestion. I just saw last night a movie about the Mississippi Delta, and that's being also affecting the local population, and this, because of sea level, there's a big issue, even more than this area. Yeah, it's a very good suggestion. Yeah, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. Now, before we end this webinar, I would like to introduce the next webinar. The title is From Behavior to Policy, Modeling the Socio-Hydrology of Indus Basin by Professor Dr. Muhammad Abu Bakr, Department Chairman, Syed Babar Ali School of Science and Engineering. So we are looking forward to welcome you all, and next week and the same and Wednesday at 10 a.m. Pakistan Standard Time. So now I would request all the audience to turn on their cameras so that we can take a group photo.